Well, a pleasure to be here and to have all your faces. And I loved that mission statement, something about inclusivity, and, generosity, and love, kindness. And I think that when you awaken to your true nature, that if it doesn't in the end come with those fruits, there's something not right. Yeah. But I say, at least one way, go for your true nature, and those fruits will come. They will come. And I imagine most, if not everyone, is aware of the idea of one's true nature, who one really is. But one could say that it simply contrasts with one's human nature, what you see in the mirror, what you see when you look at me, my appearance, and what I see when I look at you, your human appearance. And in contrast is our true nature, which is private and secret. And only you can see your own true nature. Only I can see my own true nature. But once you see it, this infinitely generous, capacious, inclusive, kind, open, timeless being. See, once you stumble on it, you realize everyone is in the same condition. And the headless way is a modern way of pointing to that openness where you are that is secret. So in principle, I can only share my experience and invite you to check out if it's the same for you. I am convinced it is, but that's for you to verify. So we start with the experience. And the best attitude or approach is to return to being about 5 years old, and you haven't yet learned everything you've learned, and you're willing to look, and you're curious, and you're open. And notice that you cannot see your own head. 5-year-olds, you see, I can't see my head. I can see all your heads, but I can't see Richard's. And I'm assuming it's the same for you. And instead of my head, what do I see? Well, if you were with a class of 5-year-olds and you said, well, what do you see instead of your head? Who wants to answer? Everyone will go, I do, you see. Well, what do you see? What do I see instead of my head? I see you. I see the room. I see the world. See? Now, hold your hands out like this, class, and look at your hands and notice there's a gap between them, and you might have a bit of the wall, so to speak, between the hands or me or anything. Now, just look ahead, up at your arms, and gradually bring them back either side of your head, but take your time and watch them as a child would see. You see, oh my goodness, they grow bigger and bigger, see. And now they're getting very big, like giant's hands, and wider apart. And then my thumb begins to disappear, my fingers disappear, keep going, you see, my hands disappear all the way probably to my wrist. And I say, I've just put my hands in the great void. And I've still got sensations, but I say, no hands. See, look, Ma, no hands. Now, this is magic, child, 5-year-old stuff. Looking ahead, bring your hands forward. Well, watch them emerge out of nothing. And then gradually grow smaller. Our true nature is brilliantly hidden by making it the most obvious thing. Who would imagine it would be so obvious? It can't be that simple, you see. Well, I say it is. That's up to you. I enjoy it being simple. I came across this more than 50 years ago. I'm still blown away by it. It is fresh. And here is a very simple pointing out experiment. You've probably heard about pointing out instructions. Well, finally, actually pointing. See, so 5-year-olds point at the floor. You're directing your attention. That's the reason to do it. You direct your attention with your finger, look along your finger, and you see the floor. You see a thing. You see the colors and shapes. And you don't have to understand how it's been made. You don't have to like it to see it. Now point at your body, you say your knee. And again, you don't have to understand how it works, you just to see it. And you do not have to ask someone else, what am I pointing at? No, you look for yourself, an object there. Now, hold your hand out and point back at where others see your head. What are you pointing at? I say, well, I can't see anything here. No head, no face, no wall behind me, just wide open, empty space. See, that's my true nature. Now point out with the other hand like this. This is a gesture we call two-way pointing, two-way attention, two-way looking. And this indicates that this open, clear, transparent space that I'm looking out of, I think you're looking out of, isn't just empty, it's also full. It's full of what is happening now. And for me, it's full of many faces. Or put your hands like this, like horse blinders. Now, huge, giant hands, right? See? Now, what's between your hands? Your face or the world? See? Well, a 5-year-old would say, the world, the world, the world, you see. The world. The nothing is full of everything. Now, one of the wonderful applications of this is when you look at someone, when I look at you, I don't see face to face. I don't see my face. I just see your face. See, I'm just looking, and I expect, I imagine, when you're looking at me now, you see my face and not yours. I'm sure that's true. See? So we call it face to no face, or for you, face to no face. So I have now 30-something faces. I trade one face that I only imagined here for the reality that I have many faces. So now when I notice, I can't stop it these days. Whenever I'm with someone and talking to them and just being with them and looking at them, so I'm noticing I have your face. And what is clear here, wide open, no distance, empty for you. Yes, you see, it's 5-year-old stuff. 5-year-old stuff. Now this is just a game changer. Now, as a baby, you were in this condition, but you didn't know it. And you didn't know about your appearance, your face. You look in the mirror, not you yet. You're just wide open. Surely that's why we love babies, because they are transmitting that basic openness that we know in our hearts, that's so inclusive. And as we grow up, I think what happens is that mum and dad and others start telling us, you've got a face, you've got a face. We can see your face. You see this face in the mirror? We can see that there. And if you could talk, you'd say, well, no, you're wrong. There's no face here. That face in the mirror is there and not here. You know, I'm not stupid, you know. But mum and dad and teachers keep feeding back to you what they see at that range. Because at that range, you do have a face. At this range, I see your face. But the question is, at 0, do you see your face? It's relativity, you see. But as we grow up, first stage is the baby, headless, full of the world, but don't know it. Second stage is the child, where I'm now, through language, the mirror, learning about my appearance and learning to put it on. And learning to live as if I'm behind a face, as if I'm in a body, as if I am small instead of big, and as if you are in that small body there, you see. But childhood, I'm not fully in the box yet. I haven't fully got things. So it's a beautiful time when you're 5 years old, because you're beginning to be aware of who you are for others, but you haven't yet surrendered your immensity. This space I'm looking out of. You see, as you're looking ahead and you notice this space you're looking out of, how wide is it? Well, for me, it's as wide as the room now. That's wide, isn't it? And you go out at night and it's as wide as the heavens full of stars. And Walt Whitman, I am large, I contain multitudes. Well, perhaps he actually meant it, you see. Your true nature does actually contain it. So when you're a child, I say you're in both worlds. But the feedback you get from everyone around you 24/7 is that you are the one in the mirror. You are what you look like. You're behind a face that you can't see. You're in a container here. And no one is talking about the fact that for yourself, you're at large, you're big. So what do? I mean, it's 7 billion to 1. And we accept what others say we are. And this is all right, because you have to take on board who you are in society to function, you see. But you can see that at that point, we have lost touch with what we are. But I think there's nothing gone wrong. And the thing is not to stop growing at that point when you have taken on board being a person, being the one in the mirror. Continue to grow. Well, how do you do that, you see? Well, you take a fresh look at what it's like to be yourself from your point of view, and you look, you see. Point back at the place you're looking out of, please. Class, you see. Now, everyone else is telling you there's a head there, you're behind a face, you're separate, you've got a shape, a name. But now have the courage or the curiosity or whatever it is to say, well, I'm going to look for myself. Well, I look for myself, see, boundless openness, full of the world here. Does that mean now that I forget about my face and about what I am for you? No, I've got both. There's the human and the divine. For you, I'm Richard. For me, I am you. For you, I have a face, Richard's face. For me, I have your face and your face and your face. Now, this is essentially a non-verbal experience. Sometimes I like to put it like this. I'm now going to tell you what this is all about, you see. And so listen, class, listen very carefully. I'm only playing, because I'm only going to say it once. And I'm going to count down, and then I'm going to say it. 3, 2, 1. So then anything I say about it is my response, not the truth. I accept that you are looking out of this same beautiful clarity that includes everything, and that you cannot half see it. I don't sometimes see half my face here or a quarter of my, never see anything here, wide open. And it's not sometimes bright and sometimes dull, it's just the same. I accept that's the same in us all, of course. So we're equal. I am here as an equal, obviously. How can you know more about nothing than someone else? How can you be more nothing than ridiculous? So this catapults us into equality, non-hierarchy. This is namaste. This saying, I now awaken to who I really am, you see. And I profoundly accept you're in the same condition. So I honor the one in me is the same as the one in you. Because you're looking at nothing, right? Yeah. This is sane. I believe, I dream that we're moving into a society where this is understood, primarily where this is experienced. No, it's not rocket science. Look for your head, you see. And where we are living from this and respecting each other. It's very profound. I have your face, you have mine, trading faces. I am in you, you are in me. This is traditional wisdom. There's nothing new, but it's a new way of framing it. What could be simpler? Look for your head. What do you see instead? See? So when I'm speaking now, my voice for me is coming out nowhere. There's a koan, a Zen koan. It's about this guy Bodhidharma, who, I don't know a lot about these things, but a koan is a way of framing enlightenment or something. Bodhidharma was the guy who brought Buddhism from India to China in about 500-600 or something. The koan, and he was always, is portrayed, I think, as a rather big guy with a beard, big beard. And the koan is, why does Bodhidharma not have a beard? And so if you're looking from the outside, you're going, well, of course he's got a beard. What does that mean? I mean, he's got a beard. But you imagine you're Bodhidharma. You can't see your beard. It's a brilliant, simple pointer. You know, it could be, why does Bodhidharma not have a head? You say, well, of course Bodhidharma's got a head, except for Bodhidharma. Why does Bodhidharma have 35 faces? What do you mean he's got 35 faces? He's only got one. But why does Richard have 35 faces? That's ridiculous. But I do from here, you see. And I love it. It's love. There's no dividing line. A face, imaginary face, is a dividing line. But you see, no dividing, no surface. Suddenly everything is clear, like a 5-year-old sees the world. Bright. Yes, yes. This is normal. This is sane. And I have been with this for many years, and I grew up. I knew the man who developed it, Douglas Harding, and he always had people around with us, a community. There were friends who shared this. So I grew up in a mini community where this was normal, and where you didn't play the game that some have got it and some don't, and some have got it better and some worse, and all of that nonsense. Our understanding of things goes by degrees. You might know more Pali or more French than me, or how to fix a car, but you cannot know more about your true nature than I know about mine. There's nothing to distinguish us, nothing, no hierarchy. And the joy of having friends. Well, but let me put it this way, that how do you, when you're growing up, find out who you are as a person? Well, it's from outside. It's through others and through the mirror and through language. You cannot see yourself. You have to learn your name. You have to learn your gender. You have to learn where you live. All of that, you see. And you can imagine being an infant and leaning across to your friend and saying, you know, this whole thing about becoming a person and wearing a face that you can't see, to put it simply. to put that face, put that face on that you see in the mirror and imagine it here and keep imagining it all the day long. You say, I'll never do it. That's too much effort. I can't, how on earth am I going to do that? I can do it for about 3 seconds, see, and I forget, and I don't care. I love being open. You see, and it's just my natural state. I love being, why would I want to? And how on earth can I do it anyway? Well, the way that it happens is that society keeps feeding back to you 24/7 your appearance, which you can't see, your face, telling you you're behind it, you see. You see, touch your forehead. Now, as a baby, your hand disappears and there's just a sensation. There's a sensation in awareness. But now imagine, we've got mirrors, but anyway, imagine looking in the mirror and you see the little infant in the mirror touching their forehead, right? So now mum and dad tell you, you see that hand touching the forehead there, and you feel the sensation, even though your hands disappear here, there's a sensation. Well, what you've got to imagine is the forehead you see there on the sensation here. Now take your hand away, you see, and be aware of the sensation of your mouth. See, well, as a baby, how wide is your mouth? It's as wide as the room. I mean, how wide is it? I can't tell because I can't see it, see. But I have learned to look in the mirror and look at others and imagine that shape of a mouth on the sensation. So now when I get the sensation of my mouth, immediately comes the image of it, which I can't see, I imagine. But I mean, that's really useful because up until the moment as an infant, before which you learn where to marry the image to the sensation, you get your ice cream and you go like this, you see. Because, I mean, where is your mouth, right? I mean, until, that sensation, and that's my mouth, that's connect. Okay, so, right, think of the image, because I want the ice cream. Think of the image, and you do that with your ear, you do that with your head, you do that with your elbow, you do that with your back. See, now, this process is feedback. People are telling you all the time about you. You can't see you. And it's non-stop, 24/7 feedback. And it's something that you want to join in, because the only way to join in and enjoy all the fruits of society is to become a person. So you know when someone's looking at you, what they're seeing, or how to cross the road. So by the time you're an adult, you have got this going without thinking about it. Now you're well aware of who you are as a person in this room. I mean, you have to keep updating it, don't you? Because you're different now from when you walked in, slightly. But basically, you've got what you could call, you have stabilized your personal identity. You've stabilized. You don't wake up in the morning and think, who am I? Go and look in the mirror. Right? You've got it. So the way that you stabilized your personal identity, your sense of individual self, is through this constant feedback by people telling you. And you join in and you tell people who they are. You have to participate, give as good as you get. So then when you awaken to your true nature, that you're looking out of this openness, people say, well, how do I stabilize this? It's the same mechanism. Hang out with others who are aware of their true nature and who are reflecting back to you, not just that you're a person, which you are, but also that where you are this vast openness. So I am aware of my true nature. I mean, I'm not claiming anything special. It's just I'm aware I can't see my head until I see yours. But now you know that that's in the atmosphere here, isn't it? And the more I found growing up in this group of friends who were all sharing this in this very natural, unpretentious way, see that you couldn't avoid it. You knew that when any of your friends looked at you, it was a sort of reminder, it was face to no face. A face becomes a reminder that you don't have one, that that's yours. So I'm just sharing my experience here. So I'm now going to pour water into the great void. Do you understand? For me, for you, I'm putting it in my mouth. For me, the bottle comes up, disappears, and I pour water into nothing. And then there's taste. Isn't that fun? Enlightenment, is fun. Have you ever heard that before? Enlightenment is really good fun. So, how are we doing for time? Oh, good. So, here's, I'm going to now guide you into closed-eye exploration of what you are, because the theme here is what am I? But you start with eyes open. I need to introduce it with eyes open. One of the joys, actually, of being in a community where this is understood. Well, let me say something else. The experience is immediate and 100%. You can't see your head, instead you see the world. I say that's 100% instant, the same for everyone. You can't get it wrong. But what it means and how you apply it in your life develops until you die. Every day, something new, how you live from this, how it works out, what it means, the challenges of it. And for example, let me say two things immediately. One is that it's basically a neutral experience. It's not a high. Just seeing is a non-verbal experience. I say it's also non-emotional, non-conceptual. This means it's always accessible. If it's a feeling, if it's a realization, it won't always be accessible. But if it, since it is, not if, this direct observation, that I can see anytime. See, and there is a kind of neutrality to it. It's just an observation. So if you do not feel wow, if you do not make various connections that give it meaning right now, if you say, so what? I can't see my head, I see the world, so what? I say, you've got it. You're just not, it's just not meaning anything to you at the moment. Nothing has gone wrong. If you try meditation and you sit for 5 minutes and you go, oh, well, that didn't do anything. What's the next? Someone is going to say, you got to do a bit longer, right? You got to hang out with it and be patient and trust it. It's the same with the headless way, headlessness. If it doesn't mean anything, first, is it true? Can you see your head? No. Instead, do you see the world? Yes. That's it. See, I say that's it. See. But if you hang out with it, it will feed you like meditation does. It is meditation. Meditation for the marketplace, face to no face. And whatever comes goes. Meditation teaches that. So then you get, you suddenly, it's been meaning nothing to you. You think, so what? But you decide, well, I'm going to hang out with it for a bit. I'm going to give it a chance, even though it means nothing. Actually, I have to say, there's something brilliant about the fact that it doesn't have to feel like anything. It is so relaxing. It doesn't have to mean anything. You don't have to understand it. It's just what you are. See. But I say, I know from my own experience, it's the bare ground out of which, if you keep watering the bare ground with your attention, something will flower. But as you know from meditation, what flowers grows withers, dies, and comes round. So these are things that we learn as we practice. And it's the same with the headless way. But I have to say that although one can say that this great openness that you're looking out of is neutral, has no preferences, just is, it is also built open to the world. That's the embracing. It includes the world. And that is profoundly positive, I say. Full of everything. Clever. Anyway, single eye. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you look at others, you see two eyes. But how many eyes are you looking out of? Well, honestly, probably if you said to a class of 5-year-olds, some might say 2, and some might say none, or 1. All right. Yeah, we did that, right? Did we do that? Oh, okay. We did it this morning. Hold your hands out like this, like glasses. You see, put them together. You see a dividing line, 2 holes there. Now put them on and see what happens to the dividing line. And it disappears, doesn't it? It does. And the 2 become 1. So 2 there, 1 here. So then take your hands and go around the whole view and see how your hands to be. I call this single eye. It's not an eye, it's an openness, single opening. But I'm just going to use that simple term, single eyes. I'm looking at a single eye. The Cyclops. It is known in our hearts, in the tradition, the single eye, the third eye, whatever. You see, 2 in the mirror, 1 here. Yeah. Now, I'm going to invite you to notice 3 aspects to your single eye, and then take that into experience with eyes closed. So the first one is its boundary, the boundary of the single eye. Well, if you look at me, you'll see a boundary around me. I call it a hard edge. It's not really a hard edge. See my boundary. And Richard is inside this boundary and the rest of the world is outside. So Richard is inside the room, it contained inside the environment. Now just look ahead, be aware of the whole view. So the view out, the view in, I'm talking about the view out really, I suppose, although this is provisional, inside and out. And the view out, whatever you look at is in the center of the field of vision. Now you're in the center of the field of vision for me. Now you are. You see, wherever you look, suddenly jumps to the center, right? This is a magic power. I mean, 5-year-olds get this. You can make somebody the center of your universe. See, now you are. No one else can. I look, you see, and nothing changes, but you look, the first person. Does that make sense? See? And you say, well, so what? I say, the one that you are, this awareness, undivided awareness that you are, has secret powers. They're not very secret, actually. They are powers that confirm your true nature. And one of them is the ability. It's like being a king or a queen and having a court. And the king or queen can honor someone. How do you honor someone if you're the king or the queen? You say, you at the back, I want you to come all the way up, right to the front, and stand in front of me, and I will, in a way like the Sun King, just shower you with blessings. I will honor you by bringing you forward. And then I'll ask you to go back and I'll bring someone else forward. So whenever I look at someone, they are. You, Robert, now are at the center of my view. You've come forward. This is an honoring of the one, a blessing, a kind of shedding light, isn't it? And are you doing that with Richard? Yes. Yeah. Namaste. The secrets are not hidden. They're there for the looking. See, I'm now honoring. This is very deep. Yes. See, everyone you look at suddenly jumps to the center of you. It's rather fun, isn't it? It's a power. You just try it. You look around, look at someone else, you see, and suddenly you make them the center. This is so kind and honoring, see, and true. Anyway. Well, whatever is in the center is most in focus. And as you are aware of the whole view, it fades out towards the periphery. And whereas Richard, for you, has a hard edge and things around Richard, or anything you look at, is surrounded by other things. When you look at the whole view, I find that the edge is not a hard edge with something on the other side. I can't see anything above it. I can't see anything below it or to the right or the left. It fades out into nothing. Now, these are words to describe a non-verbal experience. So you're free to describe it differently. But does that make sense when you look at the view? I mean, can you see anything above it? No, I can't. So I say it fades out into nothing. Now I'm going to play and be a bit lyrical. So I said the whole field of view is hanging there in nothing. It's floating in consciousness. There's nothing underneath it, nothing underneath, nothing above it. Just floating. Magic. It's not inside anything, not surrounded by objects, not inside anything. It's uncontained. Uncontained is the one thing in the universe. Everything else within the view is contained, but the whole view is uncontained. How did we miss it? Because it's so obvious and no one's talking about it. See, I've just made you the center of the universe. All right, so that's first thing, that the view is uncontained. It fades out into nothing. Does not have a hard edge, it's soft. Now, I want you to look at any object and compare its size with another. So that you could say that the computer is smaller than Richard, you see? But the computer is bigger than the bottle. So in that sense, size is relative. See? So anything you look at, you can compare its size with another thing and it's bigger, smaller, or roughly the same size, all right? Now be aware of the whole view and ask yourself, how big is it? I said, there's not a second, is there? There isn't a second on the right to compare it with. Single. Incomparable. Incomparable. Cannot be compared because there is not another. So can I say how big it is? Can I say how wide it is? The best I can say is, at the moment, it's as wide as this room. Or as I said, as wide as this star-filled heavens when I go outside. How wide is it? Let's see. How big is it? I cannot say. Incomparable. Single. One. And the third thing is that you can look at two objects and estimate the difference. You see how what I'm doing, I'm not teaching you theory. I'm saying have a look and check it out. This is the spirit of science, isn't it? Have a look, observe, you see. This is a modern way. Don't believe. Have a look. And you can estimate the difference between any two objects, between the chair and Richard, or between any two objects in the view. You can estimate the difference. Now I ask you, what's the distance between the whole view and the nothing? Where do you measure from? I say, I can't say. Is it here? Is it there? All right. Now close your eyes and be aware of the darkness. How big is the darkness? Well, I do not find a second to compare it with. It's single. How wide is it? Well, I can't say. So, can't say how big it is. Does it have a boundary? Is it inside something else? The darkness? I say no. Floating in consciousness is a way of describing this non-verbal experience. So if those words don't fit, find some others or none at all. It's not contained. And where is it? How far away is it? From where? I cannot say. Has no address. Floating in consciousness. Consciousness sounds like a thing, but it's just a word for this mysterious being that has no form, that contains everything. Now be aware of the sounds in the room, the sound of my voice, the sounds of traffic. If I call the darkness the field of darkness, and the field of vision when we had our eyes open, I call this the field of sound. Just a way of talking. How big is the whole field of sound? Well, I don't find a second to compare it with. And if you get anything like ringing in the ears, you say, well, that's inside me, and the sound of Richard's voice is outside me. Okay, we understand that distinction. But now I find there's no inside and out. Both the sound of the voice and the ringing in the ears or whatever is arising in this silence, coming out of this silence. And the whole field of sound, it just fades out into silence. The sound of that traffic emerges from silence. It's a creative silence, not a dead silence. And I find the sounds arise in the same space, so to speak, as the darkness. I can distinguish between the darkness and the sounds, but I can't separate them. And now be aware of your body sensations. And imagine being that baby we were thinking about before. And you've just been born. And you haven't yet opened your eyes. And of course, you don't understand language and you haven't looked in a mirror. But you've got these sensations. And let's say you could ask yourself, what am I? How big am I? Going by these sensations. And you've not yet learned to add the image of your mouth to the sensation of your mouth, or the image of your elbow. See, I mean, they're very useful because I can direct your attention to those sensations. But now if you can, put aside for the moment those labels. Going by just sensation, I can't say what shape I am, how big I am, how wide I am. Where do I stop? Other things outside me? This field of sensation seems to hang in nothing, fading out into nothing, coming out of nothing, arising in the same nothing as the sounds and the darkness. And arising in the same mysterious space as my thoughts and feelings. If you think of a name of a city, where does that come from? The Buddhists say, I think, out of no mind. I think that's what we're talking about. Imagine a mountain. Where does that come from? See, magically, out of nowhere. And if we call the whole experience of thoughts and feelings a field of mind, how big is your mind? Does it have a clear boundary? Is it contained? I say no. It's all arising with the sounds and everything else in this one space. Now I say that what's going on in this space for me is different from what's going on in this space for you, I imagine. But the space itself has no one's name on it. And now open your eyes. And I say, nothing has changed, except instead of the darkness, I find all of you in me. I think it's a Buddhist image for your being. It's an image of a mother hen with wings around her chicks, under her chicks, see? And if you were a chick under your mother hen's wings, you'd feel very safe, wouldn't you? And loved. It's an image for this space that you are. Because to me, it just seems to go around everything and contain everything and hold everything. Include everything. So I say, now as who I really am, I am embracing you all. Literally, you are in me. That changes everything about the way we relate to each other. If we bring this onto the front burner, people and animals and trees and rocks, everything in a way is alive in you, Be who you are. I contain multitudes. It's glorious. It's abundant. It's true. It's accessible. Face to no face. Looking out of a single eye. So now I'm going to invite you to do something that is called the no-head circle. And it's rather fun and deep, I think. And it will involve us standing up and probably moving the cushions aside. What we want is probably 3 circles, standing, facing in. And when we are in those 3 formations, I'll tell you what to do. Move close and put your arms around each other and look down. So looking down, you see your feet, you see your legs, I imagine, you see your torso, but you don't see your head. So I say that your body's headless, and you're looking down at your body from your single eye, from this boundless openness that has no qualities except awareness, I suppose. So you could say your body's coming out of that boundless awareness. Now look at the floor in the middle of the circle, looking down at the feet, if you like, and you see the circle of feet and circle of bodies. Continue to look down, but you'll notice that the bodies fade out around about waist or chest level into the same space at the top that your body disappears into. And this space at the top, it has no dividing lines, there's no names on it. All the bodies, you could say, come out of it. So we could say, down there we are many, at the top we are one. Down there we're different, distinct, separate. At the top, no divisions. This is I think, a beautiful, simple way of acknowledging our differences and our unity. Down there we are many, down there we are different, but at the top, your body disappears into the same space as everyone else's, comes out of that space. Down there we're many, at the top we are one. Well, I am space for everyone. You are space for everyone. The space contains everyone. This is like a building, a round building, a temple. And the floor is the floor of the temple. The bodies are the kind of circular pillars of the temple, the wall going round. But this temple has no roof. And that lovely song, Happiness, by Pharrell Williams. Happiness is a room without a roof. And here you've got the room and no roof. All right. So just drop your hands and turn to face me so you can see what you're going to do next. Because while we're on our feet, we'll do one or two other things. So the next one is a simple movement one, very, very simple. All you're going to do is point back and slowly turn around. Now, empathize with me, right? So I'm going to turn around and I'm going to tell you that for me, I'm not moving and the room is moving past my finger. Now, do you understand? Empathy. Empathy. So have enough room so you don't bump into anyone. Obviously, stop if you get dizzy. You're only going to go around a couple of times. Point back at your no head. Start turning around and notice how there's no movement where you're pointing, but the room is moving past your finger. So I say, you are the still center of the turning world. You can imagine how you can observe that when you're walking down the street, you're still and the street moves. Or when you're driving, you're still and that. You like it, don't you? Yeah, it's good. I love it. I love it. You see, when you're in a vehicle, you're still. I think you'll get this now. See, I live in London and this is Washington, D.C. So from the outside, I came from London to D.C. But from the inside, I've gone nowhere and Washington, D.C. has arrived in me. Understood? Yeah. That's a great way to travel. You see, so I also say, this is my home. This is my temporary home for a couple of hours, our temporary home. This is my eternal home because I'm always here, right? This is our eternal home, you see. So I say, right now, I'm at home in my eternal home and you're guests in my home. Isn't that lovely? That is namaste again. Welcome to my home. Welcome to my home. Yes, you see. Isn't that lovely? And as you live with this, gradually you relax into feeling at home wherever you are. Now, who wouldn't want that, you see? All right, so one more thing, rather fun thing with movement, and I'll show you with Robert. So you're going to just take a partner. So you have to get in a position where you can see me and Robert. So we'll going to do the movement thing with the arm.
Ah, okay.
So what you do is you put an arm round and you bring your hand out in front. So make sure you can see. So you can see both hands and they're close. Now, empathize. I see my arm coming back and disappearing into my single eye into nothing. And as I look ahead, I can see Robert's arm coming back and disappearing into my nothing, you see? So both arms, Richard and Robert's, come out of one single eye, mine, or for you, yours, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're going to just look ahead and notice the whole view, but see the two arms in the view and let them move together. And it honestly feels like you're moving both. Can you see? Do you empathize? You see? Now, I can feel this one and I can't feel that one, but they're both coming out of my consciousness. Have a go. Just pick someone, stand next to them, you see, and put your arms out. So look out, see your single eye. Your arm comes out of your single eye, and then you can see the other arm coming out of your single eye. So now just move the hands together, and you might find, I mean, both arms come out of one stillness space, and it feels like, I mean, do you know where your arm's going to go more than the other? I'm not sure. It's fun, isn't it? It's like you've suddenly grown like an octopus, another tentacle. All right. Enlightenment is fun. So let's sit down. You're going to do something in partners, but I'll explain it first. So you can just sit down. Enlightenment is fun. I like that. Enlightenment is for 5-year-olds. So I'm now going to guide you through an experiment that can be quite powerful. Good, see? But I'm just going to introduce it. And it's really nothing different from what we've been doing. But it is just focusing on the face to no face aspect of this. See, which is so important, because how does enlightenment apply to relationships? Well, it applies by saying, I am you and you, I'm in you and you're in me. I am space for you. I am you. I have your face instead of mine. And this is a game changer. And it's not thought. We can think about it. It's important to think about it. It's primarily not a thought, not even a feeling, deeper than feeling. Being. So one of the things that I find really important is to communicate about this. I do it all the time, and I understand its value and its importance. And when we experience something in our lives that is important and is true, if we do not tell anyone, it's still true. But once you start to tell people, in a funny kind of way, it becomes more real, because it becomes a social thing, social reality. And when you communicate something, so like I'm communicating to you now, I do not know exactly what I'm going to say next. And I believe no one knows what they're going to say next. And if you say to 5-year-olds, I just want you to make up anything you like, just say it, and they'll have a go. Because that's just normal. You just see what comes out. Now, I think that you have a feeling of a direction. I'm not just totally unaware of where I'm going with this or something, but I don't really know. And then it's shifting all the time. But I think this is normal. I think this is how it works. But you have a feeling. Now, that feeling, you will never really know what it contains unless you start to communicate. You talk or write or paint. And you unwrap that and discover it through communication. So I'm discovering what I think now. What is kind of, sort of hidden. But communication is two-way, it's social. So even though you're saying nothing, I'm reading you at some level. We are extremely skillful at reading others, otherwise you wouldn't be able to survive. You're reading people. You might get it wrong, but basically you get it right. So you can survive. So even though you are not saying something, you're saying something non-verbally back. So there's a conversation going, you see. And when I say something and you nod, I think, oh, okay, you get that. That changes how I feel about what I've just said. Now, if you actually start to speak back, then that increases that understanding, that experience. I get your angle, you see. And now what I'm saying is out there, and it has a kind of reality, and I'm seeing it in a different way, and it's no longer just mine, and you understand where I'm going with this, right? So this also applies not just to what you did on your holidays or what you believe in, but in terms of communicating about your true nature. I see my true nature now. I see I'm looking out this boundless space. You're all in me. I don't have to talk about it. But when I start to talk about it with people who understand, see, I wouldn't just talk to someone on the street about it unless they asked me, then the it becomes a conversation and it grows. It's a social thing. And when I speak about my experience, I discover things. And if you start to speak about your true nature, I think you will find it becomes more real, that you discover things about it. You realize it's just absolutely ordinary. Why not talk about being headless? Well, I've had lots of reasons, Richard. But not lots of reasons in a group like this where we're getting familiar with it, you see. Why not talk about your single eye? Why not talk about having everyone's face instead of your own? It's beautiful. And the more that you announce that I have your face, the more you see it, the more you be it, the more real it becomes socially. Because up to now, the social view is you are what you look like face to face from the outside with others. Because we're all talking about it. Now we're introducing face to no face, being space for each other. So I say, I encourage people to start to own it, to speak about it. And everyone has the experience. So your way of speaking will be different from mine. Good. So before we do the next experiment, I'm just going to demonstrate, say, I know Robert and Brian, so it's easy to do. So I'm just going to show you a very simple dyad or form. And when we learn a language, we need to start with stock phrases. So no harm in using the same phrases. So I look now talking to Robert, I say, I have no face here. Instead, I have your face. I am space here for you there. Do you understand the language? I am empty for you. And that's first part, A. And then I empathize. I put myself in Robert's shoes and I say, and I imagine from your point of view, you can't see Robert's face. Instead, you've got Richard's face. You're looking out a space there. You're empty for Richard. You see, now I'm going on to the front burner, celebrating this fantastic thing. Now you have a go.
I have no face here. I have your face.
Yes, you do. You can reply, you see. Yep. You're welcome to it.
It's a great face. And I imagine from your perspective, what you're seeing is Robert's face.
Yes.
And from your perspective, you don't have a face.
That's right. And from my perspective, I am Robert and you are Richard. Understood? It's never exact. We've got the experience. I'll just demonstrate it again with Brian. So I am space for you. I have no face here. So you keep it really simple. So I don't see my face. Instead, I've got your face, Brian's face. I here am space for you. And the second part, I imagine you're in the same condition. You don't see Brian's face there. You've got Richard's. You are space for Richard. And you can say, yeah, that's true, because we like feedback, right? Yeah, you got it right. Now you have a go.
I definitely don't see a face here.
Right.
My direct experience.
Yeah.
In the absence of a face here, I see your face.
Yes.
So I'm capacity here for Richard's face there.
Yes.
So in other words, I have Richard's face, or I am Richard's face.
Yes.
But I don't see a Brian here, for sure.
And now?
And I imagine that from your point of view,
Yes.
you don't see a face back there. You don't see a Richard.
I don't.
Definitely don't see a Richard.
I definitely do not.
But you do see a Brian.
I do.
But I don't see that Brian.
No, I do.
But you see that Brian.
I am Brian and you are Richard.
And I am Richard. And you are Brian.
Yes. Isn't
We're
that?
trading faces.
We are trading faces. Isn't that brilliant? I love it.
How do we do it?
I have no idea. You know, a kid going down the slide doesn't say, how does this work? You just enjoy the ride. Whee! All right. So I know it's the first time you've done it, you know, play, but A and B, you say, put it very simply, I'm space for you. I have your face, no face of my own. And you are space for me. I imagine you can't see your face, you've got mine. All right. So that's your own point of view, empathize in this very simple visual way, if you like. And then the other person has to go. So turn to someone and experiment, play, say hello, find out their name if you don't know them. In a moment, I'm going to show you with Brian. So this is the same thing now, but you've just been primed. You just had to go with. But what I'm going to invite you to do is look in the tube now. Now, you'll find that in the middle of this tube is clear perspex. So you won't be breathing on the other. It's airtight, all right? So we're post-COVID here. Enlightenment post-COVID. And what you're going to do, it's a powerful thing, so go in and out if you need to, you know, just take a breath of fresh air. It's intimate, but I'm going to encourage just to give you permission to talk while you're in there and say the same thing. All right, but I'll just show you basically what you're going to do is look in the tube. You see, I'll just demonstrate. Brian, I see absolutely no face at the near end. I've got yours there. I'm space for you. I imagine you're in the same condition. Are you?
Yes, there's absolutely nothing here.
Yes.
I have your face.
Yes.
I'm wearing spectacles for the first time.
Thank you. All right. So, and if you don't want, if you pause and don't know what to say, it's fine. All right. And we were joking a bit there, but you don't have to joke. So it's powerful, but it really brings home face to no face, that you're space for the other. And I know that it's not a usual thing to do with strangers. Or it might be, I don't know. So that's why I just encourage you to be kind to yourself, come out if you need to, and communicating about this tends to put people at ease, you see. So be kind to yourself. Here we go. Look in the tube. Any reflections in general about that experience?
During the tunnel, the word disembodied
Yes.
kept coming up, and how quickly I felt disembodied.
Yes.
And transference was starting with Kyla. Whereas the first one, when we didn't have the perspex, I almost felt like, oh, I'm doing it wrong, because I had this like creeping, subtle awareness of myself.
Yes.
That I wanted to not mention.
Yes.
Like, you know, I wanted to go with like, I can't see myself, I'm here for you. But there was this kind of right at the edge, oh, you're still here.
Yes.
It's yourself.
Yes.
Yourself is still here.
Yes.
But I was trying to let go of that.
Yes.
To really engage with the exercise. But there was that there. It was right at the edge for me.
Yes.
Self.
I'll give you just a thought from my point of view about that, is I feel that self arising. I feel it now, but it doesn't get in the way of seeing my no-head. So I don't have to get rid of it, thank goodness, because I never can. And I need it. And it arises in the space. And I kind of just say, oh, it's there with Harrison, with Kyla, or whoever. It's out there. Here I'm free of it, like you're saying, just open. Actually, a very funny, just one thing is, Douglas Harding, who developed this, he's talking about being disembodied. Someone said to Douglas, they said, Douglas, have you ever had an out-of-the-body experience? He said, I've never had an in-the-body experience. My body, I'm not in my body is in me. Yeah, just a way of thinking about it. So one of the things that we haven't time to do it is the mirror experiment. And you hold a mirror in your hand and you look at the mirror and you say, where is my face? My face is there, it's not here. Where is it? Not what my face, but where is it? Oh, it's there. I'm free of it here. So when I'm in a Zoom meeting and I can see Richard, I go, oh, my Zoom is now showing me where my face is there and it's not here. Now the mirror becomes a friend because it shows you where your face is. You understand, right? Yeah, yeah. No face here. You see. Yeah.
To admit it was hard for me to let go of like years of other mindfulness and somatic practices, because as soon as we were doing this like exercises where like I don't see like my face, right? I still feel like, well, I see my eyebrows, I feel the tone of my mouth, I feel the breath here, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like hard to let go of that part of me, that it's more in my body.
Yes, and I would say, I mean, find your own way with this, of course, but just as I can't do I let go of my face? I just see where it is. It's there. I see. It's not about having to let go in a way. It's about just being honest and saying, actually, I see my face there. I don't see it here. I see my eyebrows sort of there, but not right at center. Any content is sort of there, and here I'm free of it. Even the closest content, a thought or a feeling or a sensation, is there, and I'm free of it here. So there's something to observe, I say, rather than try and achieve. Where is your face? Where do you see it? See, it's simple. Where do you see your face? Not here. I see my face there in the mirror. You tell me you've got it there. You see? The camera records it there. See? The dog sees it there. Never here, you see. And the truth will set us free. It's the truth that sets us free. The simple, observable, available truth now. See? I am large. I contain multitudes. I contain you. Very personal in the end. Enlightenment is personal. Saying, I am you, and you, and you, and you are in me, and the dog is in me, and the trees are in me, and the stars are in me. It's all in me as the one, and in you as the one. Yay! I don't know if we have to finish on time, or, I mean, we're right on time. Look at that for timing. It's a real delight to be with you and have the opportunity to share our true nature together, and to have your faces, to trade faces with you, to be you, to be space for you. And I hope to meet you again if that is possible. So lovely to be with you. Lovely to be you. And I'm not rushing off. We're not rushing off, are we?
No.
So we're very happy to hang out and chat, and do feel free to come and chat.